felt like Dirty Air does, and
very dirty.
Yeah.
Very dingy.
So it's going to be what you think it'll be.
Very dirty.
Very
dirty. Yes.
Dirty meaning difficult to pass.
It will be extremely difficult. Absolutely.
Where would a Brickyard boy rank among your accolades?
I mean, I think probably next to the Southern 500s, I would say. Obviously, it doesn't have the prestige of the 500s, but I just think the Southern 500 and the Brickyard 400, to me is kind of equal in its prestige. So, we've got 3 of those Southern 500s, so I would say it just puts it kind of right there with that Coke 600 and those Southern 500s.
In the event of not winning, there's always the comfort of next year. So when you had the flat in 2020, how frustrating was it to not have that next year? I don't know if you would ever get it until now.
I always thought that we're going to come back here one day. I just never resigned to the fact that the road course here was going to be a permanent thing. But I just didn't know how long my career would go at that point, right? I mean, I was at the time 40, and so I mean, I don't have that many chances left. It's less than what's on my hand, I would think. So I mean, you just got to take advantage of every opportunity. 2020 was an enormous opportunity. 2018 was a very underrated opportunity. Brad caught a caution there that really just was untimely for us. But overall, I feel like I've always been in contention here, just never gotten it done.
Would the break allow for more charter negotiations? Like, will that allow NASCAR officials and team officials, or are those people involved? They're not racing every week. You're focused on racing every week, so it's not really going to make much of a difference.
Yeah, I'm not sure on there, and obviously you reported that we sent something back, and that's all true, and so I think now we just kind of wait to see what their response is and how far apart or closer that we are together.
What's 2311 going to do in terms of giving employees time off of this
I was asked it last week, but I don't really truly have the answer, but I do believe that we will be dark for a certain period of time, I would think.
You look at the performance in the 45, and very consistent, obviously, in the regular season championship, the 23 on the other end. Why the discrepancy with you?
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint it. It honestly is. They, most times show up with the same car, and obviously it's difference in driving styles and preferences and things like that. Tyler Reddick's generally just faster, and if he were probably in my car, he'd be faster. Faster than I am in my car, right? Because I think he's just got the ability to get raw speed out of a car. But overall, it's just that's the way he's been, and so he gets a lot out of the machine. And certainly, we feel like the machines that we're bringing to the track for 2311 are fast. Obviously, the results have not been where we want them on the 23. The pace has not been where we want it. But it's kind of up to the team of Bubba to figure out where that's at.
Did you expect to be battling Tyler as one of the guys for the regular season title?
We expected it, yeah. I mean, I think that week in, week out, we know that he's driving a car is as good as mine, generically speaking. And again, like I spoke, I think if we drove the same car, he would have more outright speed than I would. But again, there's so much that goes into racecraft and getting to the checker flag. But I just think that, we knew that he was going to be really, really good. There's actually some really good graphs on X about where drivers are running versus where they're finishing, and the 45 is kind of inverse of us. We are finishing 5-6 spots below where we're running on a weekly basis, and they're finishing 5 or 6 spots better than they're running. So we're close, but we've inversed. We got there different ways. We're not finishing very well. He is finishing well relative to his speed. So I think it matches up to a net zero, and that's where we're at in the points.
The practice broadcast, Denny was talking about Gabe Hart's emphasis on this race and how much he's prepared. He compared it to Phoenix level preparation as far as the championship. Can you speak to that, of how much emphasis on this race this team wants to win this race?
A lot. I mean, certainly from my standpoint, I know that there's not been so many more opportunities I'll have here at the Oval. So it's a big emphasis because it's a gaping hole in the resume. It would complete all the majors. But Chris, in generally, wants it pretty bad too. And he's a little butthurt over 2020 and how that ended. So I think, without a doubt, we knew going in this weekend that he had spent extra time on this car, making sure that all the details were looked after, and he brought me the fastest car he could.
Is there anything on your end that you can do?
I could drive it better. That's the only thing I could do better is drive better.
He also mentioned pit road, though, that pit road is going to make a huge amount of difference because you have a slower pit road speed than you did, say, last week at Pocono. You've got to be on your game. That hasn't been a problem of late, but how much pressure is this going to put on your picker?
Well, it's what we did during practice, during the test here. Every time I came in the pits, I was practicing. So, I mean, I've got tons of reps. So certainly when the metrics come out on Monday, I better not be down the list when it comes to doing my job on and off the pit road.
There's the stat that in 27 Brickyard 400s, there have been 9 guys who won the championship the same year, which seems to sort of emphasize that point that teams kind of put, what Kelly was saying about Gabehart, like that this is treated like Phoenix. But does that still apply with next gen, where it's more spec than the old car?
Yes, I don't think it's going to directly relate because there could be a caution on Sunday that someone running really bad in the back, pits, keeps topping off. Next thing you know, they catch a caution, they can make it on fuel, and they're going to win the race because it will be so hard to pass. I think that this race has a chance to have, I think it's almost an X Factor type of winner, just simply because of how difficult it will be for. I mean, you could be a second faster, and to pass, I don't see it possible.
I thought that was going to change a little bit with next gen, though.
I thought it would too, but the corner speeds are up just a little too high. If you wanted us to really have drafting down the straightaway, we would have to be under the tire slightly more in the corners. So I think we're about 10 miles an hour too quick in the corners to see the type of racing that you see in Indy cars.
You said that you knew that you would always get back to the oval. Like, what gave you that? Because in 2021, I didn't feel like it was ever going to get back here. I mean,
yeah, I know that the fan turnout was a part of it. There was other factors with putting us with the Indy cars as well. But I just, generally speaking, taking a major off the racetrack, off the schedule, was just, I just didn't see how that was ever going to be a net positive. And as you've seen with our schedule, we go away from somewhere and then we just go back. And so I think it's going to continue to be this. The schedule variations are going to come from just not going somewhere and then waiting 10 years and then going back there again.
With the tremendous success you've had at Richmond, what are your thoughts on the compound, 2 different compounds coming to the track?
Well, as someone that I feel like is good there, I don't love it because I think this is something that I could get beat by. I could have the dominant car and someone's got an extra set of sauce and they come by and blow our doors off at the end. But generally speaking, I think it could be really good and compelling for the show because I think you are going to have people that will use it and be fast for a little while and then really slow. So I'm excited for it. I think that I like their idea of let's use this at Richmond and see if this could be our baseline short track tire when we go to all short tracks. So I really like they're thinking and testing it out this kind of way.
And does it ever get old winning at your home track?
Never, ever.
Where do things stand with Bubba's contract extension?
What's that?
Where do things stand with Bubba's contract extension?
I think we're in a good place there. It's everything that I'm aware of is everything but ink on paper, and that's just, I want to make sure this charter deal gets done.
Denny, you keep calling this a major, the Brickyard 400, but if it's going to be that difficult to pass, fans are going to be in an uproar. How can this be considered a major when it's difficult?
We have to just temper expectations. We don't want to paint a gloomy picture by any means, but it's going to be a different type of race. It's going to be, strategy and fuel and things like that. It's just not going to be, and I do think there's potential on restarts to be somewhat crazy, but once we single file out, I think that's where it will stand for quite a while. It's just different back in the day because when we had the old car, when you got close to someone, it was like the Xfinity car where it would give the leader a disadvantage when you got close to him. Now in this car, you get closer and you just get a bigger and bigger disadvantage. So that's what will make it tough to pass. We always know, we've said it for years, next-gen cars do not like one-lane racetracks. So short of putting PJ1 or resin up at the top lane, which there's no way they'll touch this surface, it's just not going to happen.
Restart's crazy, but how much more so? Why so?
I think because you're going to have people checking up off the corners. People are going to get close to one another. Their cars are going to take off. You're probably going to see guys pancake the wall. That's what I would think when I say crazy restarts. I think it's going to get log jammed right after that first couple rows. I think the 2x2 is going to really cause a log jam, and the straightaways they're going to fan out everywhere.
What about
Last question.
visibility and picking out your points or whatever on those restarts and trying to
It'll
find
be difficult for sure. Visibility's always been tough, but that's part of what makes it hard. And certainly, I think that it forces drivers into mistakes, which then does allow passing. So it's kind of a double-edged sword where it actually benefits the show that you see on after a restart. So I don't mind it. It's just part of the challenge.
Obviously, Pocono's had a lot of restart cautions
Yes.
last few years. Does anything need to be said to you guys or anybody in particular, or is it just like, hey, it's a Pocono thing and move on?
Well, it's a track thing where anytime we have long straightaways and we have to stop for the corner, that's really, you're going to see that. We saw it here, right? Entering turn 1 on the road course. So anytime we have that kind of that dynamic, that's what we're going to have. And I don't think NASCAR really wants to get into policing, how we drive on restarts. But certainly, when we had issues at COTA, when everyone was piling in there, it was certainly a bad look, and they gave us kind of a talking to clean it up. But I don't think they'll ever do anything really.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Denny.
Thanks.